I'm going to introduce you to the idea of the roller ball. We happen to recommend the one by Trigger Point Company. The reason I like this is not only is it light, but it really is shaped very similar to their foam rollers. But the thing is that this particular device is big enough to do certain things really, really well. And I'm going to show you a few ways that I would recommend using it, including one way that's unconventional at C-section scars and also hernia scars. So let me show you how to use this. I'm going to show you how to use it on a hamstring. I'm going to show you how to use it on the gluteal muscles. And the reason it's good for those things is because unlike the foam roller, which has a round shape, which isn't ideal for getting in there, this roller ball is ideal for kind of getting in and around the glute. It's good for getting in between the hamstrings using your body weight, and you don't want to go in there and work too deeply. And with C-section scars, it's soft enough where it's not going to penetrate too much, and you can do certain maneuvers to loosen the area up. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first is to work it on the gluteal areas. So when you're working on the gluteal areas, you notice that if I put this over here, I can work the entire circumference of the glute. I can even get into piriformis. I can even get towards the hamstring insertion. So the beauty of the ball is I can sit on it just like this, put my entire body weight on it. It's going to deform a little bit, but it'll maintain its shape. And it's dense enough where I can get in there and work the edges of the glutes up in here. And I'll just turn around a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. So I'm just moving the leg around. And I just put my body weight in there to keep it in place. Now it is light, so it might slide around a little bit. But if you put it on the right surface, it's going to stay put because of the little nodules that they put on the ball. Then I can move it around a little bit, and again, I can get in there and I can feel that there's definitely areas of soreness, and I can work it. So that's how you would work it with the glute. You just keep on moving it around to different areas, but you can see that the surface area is going to be about this big, so it's a nice amount of surface area, and it's a very efficient way of working this. While you're there, you can get into the hamstring a little bit. Now, unlike the foam roller, which is basically a cylindrical object, it's not going to go ahead and penetrate in between the fibers that are very, very fibrous. So in the case of the hamstring, I can get in here with the foam roller, I can straighten the leg out, and because of the shape coming in underneath the hamstring, I'm penetrating a little bit deeper into the individual fibers. And I can straighten the leg out, and I can work it a little bit better as I go all the way down. So those are two areas where the foam roller ball comes in really handy. And priced at $20, it's very inexpensive as well. Most people can afford that. Another area that is very useful, and I really doubt the company even thought this through when they designed this device, but if you have a C-section scar that's an active scar, meaning a scar that's affecting the way you walk and you stand, active scars, we're getting more and more information that's showing that this is a large problem. It affects people who have had a C-section. It affects people that have had prior abdominal surgery. And what happens is these people may be getting sciatic pain, they may be getting neck pain, they may be getting pelvic floor pain, and it could all be caused by an active scar, which means that the scar itself might be a small line. But in back of the scar, there may be adhesions, which are basically from the healing. You have a big scar line that's going into different tissues, and that's affecting the way you walk. An example of this is the woman who had a C-section 5 months later, all of a sudden is bending over the changing table and her back locks up. That should never happen, and a C-section scar that is active should be suspected. Another type of scar that's very common is a hernia scar, and a lot of times to be able to get a hernia to correct, what they do is they put a mesh in there. Part of the process is the scar tissue around the mesh stiffens up the abdominal wall, preventing any further protrusions. But again, you could have a proliferation of scar tissue from that area, stiffening up that lower abdominal region, affecting the way you move the legs. So to do an active scar, just imagine, if you will, there is a scar line right by my belt. Okay? So what you would do is you would lay on the foam roller, just like this, and there are maneuvers that you can do to go ahead and work the surface of the scar. If you have an active scar that's deeper, you will need somebody like myself who has done hundreds upon hundreds of cases, because each one is a little bit different. But if you're having sensitivity at the scar, which many, many women do, and many men do as well, especially in the abdominal area, this can this can help quite a bit. So what we'll do is I'm going to lay down on this table here, and I'm going to place this right above the scar area. Now, it's going to put a good amount of pressure on this. Now, you can control the amount of pressure, but the ball is soft enough where it's not going to press in too hard. So if I want to work the scar, I can move the leg up, I can move the leg to the side, I can move it into extension as I'm pressing on the scar. Now, what you may find with an active scar is all of a sudden I'm restricted, but on this side, maybe I'm not, or maybe I'm restricted on both sides. So an active scar can be worked very nicely just from this position. I can even do maneuvers where I'm stretching out with the leg, now I'm bringing the arm up and I'm trying to reach. That might be very, very difficult with an active scar. And then I might get into the other side, do the same thing. Again, with an active scar, it might be very, very difficult. Then I can move the leg side to side. So essentially, what I'm doing is I'm breaking up restrictions or adhesions that might be affecting how I walk. How do you know if this is effective? The big thing that you're going to notice is you might be sore a little bit after you've done it for maybe a day or so, but you may notice that you're walking better. You may notice all of a sudden that lower back pain went away very, very quickly. Now, there are other elements to this, but this foam roller can help you manage on a day-to-day basis things like active scars. If the scar is far more advanced, which it is on many, many people, and there are many, many papers that are coming out now and showing that active scars are a much larger problem than most doctors originally thought, especially obstetricians, a foam roller ball for $20 can be extremely helpful to you in helping to manage that.